Okay, welcome to this very special edition of the Get Sign and Succeed podcast. Really, tonight's program going to be focusing on the Succeed portion of it with our resident life skills expert, Craig Cox from One of One lifeskills.com. How you doing, my man?
I'm blessed. Thank you, sir. How are you doing tonight?
Well, we're doing very good. Got to turn my sound down here. I always start with to make sure we've got our sound going on our program here. But I'll tell you what, I'm really looking forward to, seeing what we have to offer here tonight. Personally, we've really focused a lot on the physical aspect of training and recruiting and what have you. Now, this is all related to, the putting the whole package together, not only in, picking a college and what have you, but in molding someone to get to the point of getting to college, right, Craig?
Absolutely. And tonight we'll kind of go into exactly why I do what I do as far as the program, and then a little more detail about what it is that we actually talk about. So we'll kind of get into that when you're ready. You want to talk about the there you go.
Yeah, talk about this very special package that both you and Coach Cohen are involved in a complete evaluation of not only everything to do with, contacting college coaches and what have you, but the whole aspect of picking a college and, everything to do with learning about what makes people successful, correct?
Exactly. If you're out there and you're a student or a parent and you have any questions about recruiting, you cannot beat this opportunity, because what you're going to get from Coach Cohen is a film evaluation, and what that means is he's going to watch your film, he's going to evaluate, be able to give you some feedback, and with that, along with your academic evaluation, we'll be able to help you create a game plan on what your next steps and what type of schools you should be looking at. There'll also be a social media assessment. The coach works closely with Go MVB to help you in that aspect. And then, once we gather all that information, we'll have a phone consultation with you. Coach Cohen and myself will be online with you and your parents, hopefully, and be able to answer any questions that you have about recruiting, any questions that you have about academics or colleges, and, just to help you create a game plan, because that's the biggest key. A lot of things we talk about, even the guy last week we had on the strength and conditioning, Jeremy Campbell, he talked about creating a game plan. Whatever it is that you do, in football, every week we create a game plan, and game plan for success against our opponents. And that's what we try to do in all aspects, from the academic end to the recruiting end to the athletic end. So
yeah, there's kind of a list of our shows that we've had here, and in this quarter we do these in quarters, just like football games. So July 23rd we had obviously the training tips, which was really good. And remember, all these items, all of our episodes are archived there on oneofone-lifeskills.com, right, Craig?
Absolutely. Make sure you get to my website, oneofone-lifeskills.com. In the video section, you'll see every one of the podcasts that we've done in order, the most recent at the top. If you have any questions about recruiting, it doesn't cost you anything to get on there and watch them, and you'll learn a whole lot. We've had a lot of great special guests, including Division I FBS Power 5 coaches on there. So make sure you get on there. We've had Division II coaches. We've had strength conditioning coaches. We've had just about every walk of life on there, giving great advice. So make sure you get online, oneofone-lifeskills.com/videos, and you'll be able to watch all the podcasts. And also, there's a couple buttons down there at the top of the page. If you have a question for Coach Cohen or myself, just click the button. Ask the question. All right, we're here to help. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming podcast, we're always looking for suggestions for podcasts. something that is you want us to talk about. What was the slogan we had a couple weeks ago? Things we get asked about, but nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah, right.
We'll cover it. We're always asked certain questions that no one ever talks about, and so we make it a point to make a presentation. We had one not too long ago, postgraduate, and what was postgraduate and
Postgrad and
reclassification.
Yeah, reclassification. I mean, that what came from, some of our loyal watchers there. We really created a nice following here, and a lot of these things translate beyond football too. I mean, the items that we talk about, and especially here upcoming, I mean, film evaluation. We are going to talk by position because that's what we've been asked to do, but I'm sure that we'll get back into doing it overall. And the session that we had actually with Coach Cohen's brother from Wake Forest there, in doing the deep dive of what he likes to see in a highlight film. That's what we're going to use as kind of the basis for us to do our show this upcoming week. So why don't we just dive right in?
Absolutely.
And we'll get our program going here, and I'm trying to find our presentation here, and there we go. So I tell you what, Craig, let's see, did we get that up there? Oh, I gotta try that again here. We're gonna try this one more time, get that going. And I think we've got it. There we go.
Okay. Will you be able to?
I will. We'll be able to.
Yeah, slideshow.
Slideshow? Yep. Absolutely. And
no. Oh. Go back.
Gonna try this again. There we go. And where did the
technology?
Where that presentation? Oh my, here we go. All right.
Hit the little back arrow. There you go.
There we go. All right. And then there we go.
Slideshow over to the right, top. There you go. And just from the beginning.
I had it up there, and there we go.
There we go. We're moving now.
No, I tell you what, Craig, talk a little bit about, as we get started here, how you got involved in one-on-one life skills before we get into the presentation.
I've coached college football for over 20 years. I've always thought knew the importance of meeting with my student athletes individually. I was a defensive line coach for a little while, and the defensive coordinator for quite some time. There's Coach Cohen.
Yep. Hey guys, I'm really sorry, guys.
You're good, Coach. And but I always understood the importance of teaching more than just football. I mean, that's the whole purpose why coaches are supposed to be in this business, to help young men grow, not just in football. We use football as a tool to get their ear, right? And to help make them better, help them understand and teach them the things in life that's going to help them be successful. So I've always had that passion of doing that. And then during the COVID year, obviously we didn't get to practice at all. So I had plenty of time to meet with players. And I started as a defensive coordinator, meeting with every one of my guys once a week, going through these types of these skills. And when I saw the excitement, just the difference with meeting them with all those guys one-on-one, them learning the skills that's going to help them be successful, the excitement, the changes in them, that made me even more and more passionate about getting the opportunity. And my wife got accepted to optometry school in Kentucky, and it was just God pulling me in the right direction. I resigned from coaching, moved to Kentucky, and I started this business online where I could work with students from all over the country. And I've talked with clients from probably at least 45 of the 50 states. So, wow. and a few outside the country. So it has been an opportunity to really help more and more people. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to share this program with everybody. You know, you can go on to the first slide. This is one of the main reasons right here that we need a program like this is over 1 million college students drop out of college every year.
Wow.
I mean, and that's not to scare everybody or say don't go to college, because college is important, especially whatever it is you want to do in life. It requires a college degree. You need that college degree. But
a
be prepared.
million students. Wow.
Yeah, going to the next one. This is another way of putting the stat is the graduation rates. It's only 60% in the U.S. and that's the average. Now, thank the girls for helping us guys, because the guys, the males in the U.S. is only 54%. And that's graduation rate of a 4-year college after 5 years. So barely over half of all males graduate after 5 years. So my goal in this business is to help change those percentages. So that's really why I started this business. That's what I'm passionate about. That's our mission, to help change these percentages. And so the things that I first taught with students, you can go to the next one. There's a couple things that I really got to make sure that they understand, because some things, you know, we learn differently in life. So the biggest thing, I love this quote by C.S. Lewis: you can go back and change the beginning, but you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. I love that quote because it's so important. And there's another Zig Ziglar quote that I always use too, with almost the same saying, but the past is only important because it's got you to where you are today. After that, we got to put it behind us. So the first thing this is one of the first slides I show my students, because what I want them to understand is it doesn't matter what they did in the past. All right, their GPA is what it is now. There's nothing we can do about the past. Absolutely nothing. The only thing we can do is change our focus and do better in the future. So that's the first thing that we get into, making sure that they understand that there's nothing we can do about the past. The past doesn't matter at this point. It's all about where we're going. So you can go to the next slide. And this will be the next thing we talk about. Once we talk about the importance of putting the past in the past, is you set your limits. You set your ceiling on you. So they got to understand, and this is a hard one for a lot of people, because in society today, and I'm not going to get political or philosophical with you right now, but so much is about we feel our destiny is already written. We feel that our circumstances are what creates our future, and it's the total opposite. You can go to the next one there. This was true, is that your success is up to you, each and every individual. Your success is entirely up to you. It's not based off your past. It's not based off your circumstances. It's not based off your current situation. Your success is completely up to you. And that is really tough for some people to understand, because they always want to blame someone else, right? It's mom's fault I didn't succeed, or it's dad or Uncle Joe or coach. And I've heard a million people use that coach word. The coach didn't like me. The coach had favorites. All right, we got to stop, because blaming other people is not changing our situation. It's not getting us anywhere in life. It's not going to help us create the futures that we want for our life. So we got to put that behind us and put it on our own back. Understand that your success is completely up to you.
Well, let's just stop right here for a second, because what you just talked about there is the single biggest thing that I think, like you said, all of us here, okay, is I'm not in a situation, relating it back to football here, and so Andrew can kind of kick in here too, is, a situation with a lot of these players that, they might be a top flight wide receiver on a team that runs the wishbone offense. I mean, obviously going back, but a coach or a team that's run oriented versus a player's skill set who is more of a pass oriented situation. So in this particular case, like you talked about, very easy to blame the environment, but Coach Cohen, we hear this all the time. What can players do to kind of empower themselves to kind of change the environment that they're involved in playing football.
All right. So I'm sorry. I'm not.
Well, I'm just
That was-
saying, what
that was
can
really
they
wordy
what can
for
they
me.
do to highlight themselves in a situation where the environment doesn't necessarily, translate to their skill set? What can they do?
Are you asking from a preparation standpoint,
Well,
or
from how a player promotes themselves, okay, where they're feeling like the odds are stacked against them, and how do they, because of their uh, uh, offense they're in, how does a player work through that?
here's how I'm going to address that. So I'm going to address it from one, maybe an athletic program, a football program that is not typically successful, and then also from maybe a school, and this is a generalization, but an inner city school that hasn't had the success that this maybe particular student is having. So from a football standpoint, it's not like it used to be where if you're good, they'll find you. It doesn't work that way anymore. There's too many players out there from too many areas. So it's your job, and that's what we obviously help with, but marketing. Marketing means you got to get your information out there, both athletically and academically. You need to get it out there on social media. You need to be calling the coaches at their work number, at their cell number, messaging them on Twitter, posting on Twitter, doing everything you can that they know that player X from X high school is a good enough player. And just because we're not successful or haven't been successful doesn't mean that I'm not a great player that can help your program. And I think the same thing can be said. I remember, and I'm sorry, I'm talking too much here, Coach Cox. I do remember I recruited New York City for many years, the city, Bronx, Brooklyn. And when I coached at Bucknell and Stony Brook and Fordham, we were able to draw in some great players from New York City. And a big part of that was because people would say, they can't get into a Bucknell or into a Stony Brook or a Fordham. And I think people did not go to those schools. You know what I mean? So can you guys see me?
Yep,
Yep.
sure can.
Okay. So I think it's important that just like the football part, we got to be marketing ourselves, getting it out there that Andrew Cohen, for example, who is in Brooklyn at Canarsie High School, which didn't have great academics, right down the road with South Shore. They didn't have great academics, but they had some great young men, great football players, but great kids that were strong academically. And we had a 3-year-old league player. His name was Joe Massey from Brooklyn, from Canarsie, and it was us and Fordham. That's it. And if they knew about him and his intelligence, not only his football ability, there's no way we would have gotten him. So I think today now it's important. Get out your information. If you're a good student, post your transcript. Email your transcript to the college coaches. Text it to the college coaches as much as your football information. But it is a reality that there is assumptions that are made at times by college coaches like, I'm not going to go to that school. They never have kids that can get in. Coach Cox, would you agree with that?
No, absolutely. And we'll talk about this a little bit more later on when we talking about your success is up to you. When there's a whole slide on being proactive, and a lot of that what you just listed is exactly what we'll talk about some more.
And
'Cause
being proactive
proactive.
is to get involved with both of you guys in your great $99 program of film evaluation, social media assessment, academic evaluation, and phone consultation that you're going to do with these families. It is the best deal out there, for both from both Coach Cox and Coach Cohen. And I'm telling you what, just something that players really need to take advantage of. Not only related to life skills and what you're talking about, Coach Cox, but also with Coach Cohen there too. So let's get back to the presentation here, and
We're talking about your success is completely up to you. And what do successful people have in common? Well, what they don't have in common is where they're from, or what gender, or what color they are, what race they are. It doesn't. There's people from all walks of life, all genders, all races, all religions, had money, didn't have money, who are successful. So that's not the things that successful people have in common. The things that they have in common are the things that we teach in this program. Understanding time management, understanding how to make goals, understanding how to create positive habits. Those are the types of things that successful people have in common. I love these couple slides here. I love them because they're really myths about wealth. One of the myths about wealth is you must come from money to have money. You can go ahead and hit the button there. But the truth is, if Badge can move me one over.
Yeah, I'll just hang on here a second. Oh, there you go.
80% of millionaires in the U.S. are first generation millionaires. I bring these two slides up because these are questions I get from a lot of the younger generation, right? They feel, how can I be successful? My family doesn't have money. How can I make it? My family doesn't have money. But the truth is 80% of the millionaires in the U.S. today are first generation millionaires. So that's not true anymore. Back in the day, it may have been. You can go to the next slide. Another thing I hear, especially when we're dealing with student athletes, Coach Cohen, I'm sure you agree with this. Every one of them feel the only way that they're going to make it in life, the only way that they're going to make it out, the only way they're going to be able to buy their mama house is to make it big, to make it to the pros, right? And this is another myth that most people have, is that you got to make it big. You got to be a pro athlete, a musician, or a movie star to make it big. What percentage do you think it is of millionaires in the U.S. that fall in those categories? You can go ahead and hit it, Baz. 2%. Now that was a big shocker for me, because all the young ones I talk to, they always feel the only way they're going to make it is they make it to the NFL, right? Or make it to the NBA. That's their chance. But only 2% of the millionaires in the U.S. come from sports and entertainment industry. So there's a whole lot of other things that you can do. So what is it that you're passionate about after football? And I don't believe in this plan A, plan B mess, right? Everybody wants to play as long as they can play. I still want to play for the Washington Redskins, right? I know I won't make it, but I still want to. But there's always an after football, whether it's after high school, whether it's after college, whether it's after 20 years in the NFL, there's always an after football. What are you passionate about doing after football? And that's one thing that we really focus about and get into as well, and work our goals towards. So here's a big question. We've been talking about success, but how do you define success? And this is Coach Cohen and Badge. I want to hear because I can ask 1,000 people this question and get 1,000 different answers. So how would you define success, Badgley?
I go back to, that old adage that if you're doing something you love, you never work a day in your life. And I think it's all about happiness and fulfillment. I'm not the richest guy in the world or whatever. And just like you said, I don't have a whole lot of money. I mean, everybody who's seen me broadcast games know I pull up in a hail damaged Honda. I've been driving it, 250,000 miles. Okay. But that's how I define success is are you happy? Are you pleased with yourself? And ultimately, like you talk about, setting those goals, and are you satisfied with yourself that you're achieving those goals? Because ultimately, I think the person that you've got to, satisfy first, and I've said this my entire life, you have to like what you're looking in the mirror every day.
Absolutely.
And that's how I would.
That's a good answer. Coach Cohen, what you got?
I'm glad you put me second on there, because I
know I should have got you first, because
I'm being serious. Answer. I'm being serious because I usually, when I'm asked like football questions, and it really doesn't. A lot of times, it just doesn't need to be a lot of thought. That's a pretty deep question. No, I'm being serious. So with that being said, in my life, I don't feel money is definitely not a gauge in being successful or not being successful. So I will agree with that. But I do believe success starts with passion. And I think to be successful, you have to be passionate about whatever you're going to do. I read stuff on like John Maxwell. He's a leadership guy, motivator. And he says, you can't be successful or as successful as you should be if you're not passionate about what you're trying to do. So I do think you have to have passion. And I teach this even to my own boys. My boys are 16 and 20. I still say it before their sporting events, have fun and play hard. And why I'm bringing that up is I do believe that success is doing everything in your power to be successful at what you're doing. And I do believe that, if you're a student and you're a B plus, but you're busting your chops to be a B plus, that is successful. But if you're a B plus and you don't work very hard, to me, that's not being successful. I think if you put passion together with hard work, I think you're going to be successful at pretty much whatever you do. It's like when I'm talking to the student athletes, do something you enjoy, major in something you enjoy. I don't know what I want to do. All right, let's start thinking about what are things you're good at? What are things you like? Because if you're choosing a major or anything in life that you're not excited about, that you're not passionate about, I truly don't believe you'll be as successful as possible. That's my take.
Yeah,
You're
that's really
absolutely
good
right.
stuff, Andrew.
The way I define it is it's kind of a combination of what you guys talked about, is about doing what you're passionate about because that's what you're passionate about.
Yeah,
Doing what you want to do because that's what you want to do, not because of a paycheck. It's because you're passionate about what you're doing.
Sure.
A lot of coaches in our industry, could make a lot more money doing something else. I was a good example of that. I worked a real job for about 10 years before I got into college coaching, made great money. It was the easiest thing in the world, but I was not passionate about it and I was miserable. I was a miserable person. Once I got into coaching, ever since then, like you said, I felt like I never worked a day since. It's completely 180. I mean, it's just unbelievable when you do something that you're passionate about. And I thought when I stepped out of coaching, I would really miss it. Doing these meetings that I do with students, I'm just as passionate about that. And it's really, I haven't missed coaching. I haven't missed being on the sideline as much as I thought I would. Because I really love what I do. And when I get done meeting with a student and he's excited and I'm excited, I'm up here. I mean, I run upstairs. I'm just excited, happy. And, because just like Coach Cohen, we want to see the students succeed. That's the key. You can go back to the next one and kind of get into being, I believe it's the next slide, is being proactive. And talk about a few things about that real quick.
Oh my God, where did my thing go here?
Oh,
here we go. I got it. Now, there we go.
So one more slide there.
Hang on here a second. There we go.
So if your success is up to you, you must be proactive. A good example of this, and this is a stat I'm wondering if y'all know this stat. If you're a student out there or a parent out there and you're waiting for the high school guidance counselor to help your son make the decisions and give them all the information that they need, I guarantee we have thousands of great high school guidance counselors out there in the U.S. But the problem is the average ratio student to guidance counselor in the United States is 408 to 1. For every one guidance counselor, there's 408 students. It's not possible for anybody, and that's the average. Some have more, some have less, but that's the national average. It's impossible for guidance counselors to give the students the type of attention that they really need and the type of knowledge they really need to help them go through this process. And that's why it's important to talk with people like Coach Cohen, talk with people like myself to help you through this process from high school to college, because there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't know about the process. So it's very important that like you brought it up, that $99 deal. Walk right into that, didn't we? You're gonna get a true film evaluation, a social media assessment. You're gonna get an academic evaluation. You're gonna know a good idea of what type of schools that you should be trying to get recruited to.
Can I break that down a little bit more? Is that okay?
Absolutely. No,
Put that back up, Badge. Put that back up, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, Craig and I, Coach Cox and I are laughing because we were saying that, we want people to take advantage of this, but at the same time, we don't want to be like big sellers. You know what I mean? You're on this to get great information, and we want that. But I want to say, why do you need a film evaluation? I think you need an evaluation of your film so you know what play is realistic. So you get an evaluation from a professional like myself that's going to tell you the truth, okay, and not trying to get you to like me or whatnot. I think it's very hard for a high school coach to not fall in love with their players. I fell in love with my players, and I probably thought they were a little better than they were because they were my players, and I took pride in that. Social media assessment, I think part of that is just not having the knowledge to know what, do you have enough followers? How many more do you need? How many people are watching your videos? How do I get people to watch it? Are you getting the right coaches? So I think there's a lot to it, to the social media. You really want me to, Coach Badge wants me to really
No, not at all. I'm just getting you.
You got me off now. What was the third one? I'm sorry.
Just keep talking.
Academic evaluation.
So the academic evaluation would come from Coach Cox. And I think there's multiple parts of this. It's understanding, all right, what kind of classes are you taking? What schools can you get in with your GPA? What schools can you get in? Are you taking enough honors or AP classes? What schools can you possibly have a chance to get academic money for? And then the other thing that he does an unbelievable job with is, are you, how do I say this? I'm sorry. What do you need to do better with your time management? What do you need to do better with your study skills? I graduated from college in 4 years. I got a master's in a year and a half. I was an okay student, not a great student. But if I learned better how to approach it, and how to have better time management and how to study better, geez, life would have been a lot easier for me. You know what I mean? And we want people not just to be easier, but to be more successful. All right. So that pretty much sums up, the different parts of what we're going to do. But I thought it would be good to get into a little more detail.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, I just find it really admirable. You gentlemen take, phone calls from anybody who calls, and but being proactive is why these families and students need to take advantage of that $99 deal to make sure they're being proactive in being on the correct path for academics and your athletic skill to be able to move on.
Absolutely. We've used that word a couple times in several episodes. You don't remember, the word proactive came up a lot because, if you want to be successful, you got to put it on yourself. You got to go out there and get it. If you have,
isn't that life, guys? Isn't that? I think that's life. I try to tell people that football taught me perseverance. I'm 52 years old. Like anyone else that's this age, you go through ups and downs, and that's very normal. What's most important is, is how do you handle those ups and downs? Do you have solutions? And I thought about it, when I played college football, I got hurt and I had to recover. To be able to gain back a starting spot, that was very rewarding. But that taught me what life is all about. I got out of coaching to be more around my family, to have more opportunities. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but I'm like, I got to support my family. And I'm not trying to brag. That's not the point. But football can be a great experience besides the obvious of loving to play the game, the camaraderie, the relationships, the toughness it teaches you, because, not to sound corny again, but life is not always easy.
Yeah, clearly. I've always used the formula, a very simple formula, but consistency over time equals results. And, if you're consistent in your approach day in, day out, then, you're going to be successful. You're going to make positive strides in whatever comes across. And I mean, Coach Cohen said exactly the same thing. I mean, we're throwing curveballs all the time in life. It's how you handle them and how consistent you are in, day in, day out, and trying to move forward through all the adversity that we face. And it's not just athletically and it's not just academically. I mean, it's everything to do with life.
Yeah. So I got to tell you the truth here, guys. I've been a bad teammate tonight. I got on late, and now I have to pick up my son. That's what the responsibility is as a father, though, right?
Well,
He's in the town of Westchester, and I got to pick him up. I'm going to have to go in a minute. I just wanted to say that so I didn't just drop off the air. Are there any specific questions? Obviously, you can reach out to us anytime, but Craig or Badge, is there any questions before I go that I can help answer, or you wanted to, to address?
Well, I think that we focused, a lot. I think we can kind of roll it into a conclusion here pretty quickly without you having you just drop off there. But I think that it was a great show. Clearly, Craig, we're going to have more of the Succeed specials here, these Wednesday night specials. And I'll tell you what, maybe the next time Andrew will be on for the whole show. I don't know. But we like to bust on one another. As you can tell, this is what we're passionate about.
It's well deserved. But I want to say, I mean, Craig, he is passionate, but to be successful with what you're doing, you need to be passionate plus have a plan. And there's a very well sought out plan of how he's going to help the student athletes reach their goals. If there's not a plan, it's no different. We were both defensive coordinators, and there has to be a progression to how we're teaching the players what they do. And then each week there has to be a plan of what applies to the team that you're defending. I was big on analogies, and I still am. So you need to do the same thing academically. You know what I mean? If you're not having success, we have to look, Craig will help you look in the mirror and say, all right, you're not having success because of A, B, or C, and this is the plan of action moving forward. You're not organizing your time well enough. Your study habits aren't good enough. You're not taking good enough notes. You're not, you're not doing the reading, whatever. Everyone has a different reason. You know what I mean? And I think that's important because you will not reach your goals in anything if you don't do well academically.
Yeah, well said, Andrew. All right. Well, we'll let you drop off and go get your son. We'd hate to see him hang around there in the dark and what have you, as it's getting dark here now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate
it. All
right.
And, Craig, I tell you what, it's been a great show. Before we got off here, it's been fun for me. Last night, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. I mean, quite honestly, I'm a podcast junkie. I really like watching podcasts, and I like the podcasts like ours that it's original, it's emotional, it's unscripted. Now today, obviously, we had a great presentation that you brought, but I think that those are the type of people that we like to gravitate, to what we do, and because it's heartfelt, and what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I agree with you. We don't want our questions in advance. We just, sometimes you'll stump me, and I'll be like, I don't know what you
As
just
I did
asked.
Andrew today.
Yeah, you got him. But no, that's the way we want to do it. We just enjoy what we do. The whole purpose of what all three of us do is we want to help people. We really enjoy helping people, and we're all passionate about it. And that's why we work together. There's a lot of other recruiting services out there that I will not work with, because we're not in the same fight. All right. Coach Cohen he's really passionate making sure his guys are successful, not just getting to college, but we want to see them matriculate, graduate, be successful in life. So he builds those relationships with his students, like I build with mine. That player-coach relationship. I'm not blowing the whistle and fussing at them for missing a tackle, right? but I still build that player-coach relationship like I had with my players over 20 years. So we're passionate about what we do. This podcast is a great opportunity to get good information out to everybody who needs help with the recruiting process. And if they, have any questions, obviously they can reach out to us and call us or email us, text us. We're on all the social medias, and just let us know. And we're just here to help. So,
absolutely.
Go
Absolutely.
ahead.
There's your contact information. We briefly went through, obviously, the $99 program, but just pick up the phone and call Coach Cox. I'll tell you what, the conversations we have every week, just a lot of fun. And, clearly the people I think that watch this show understand that, look, I'm not trained to do this. I love to do it. And I tell everybody that, this is a guy who, and I'm not trying to beat my own drum here, but who's gone from basically just picking up live streaming to be able to do state championships in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay. And so it's a process. And whether it's in what I do in, doing these YouTube videos and podcasts and what have you, to, everything else. So we're just trying to help out. And hopefully it comes across the fact that we love what we're doing. And I think that's why people, like to watch. So anyway,
I agree. I think it shows.
I'm off of my soapbox there or whatever like that. But listen, hey, we're back again here this upcoming Sunday night. Highlight films by position. That's going to be, I think, a really interesting one. If anybody has any, questions or comments, regarding our episode 17, Sunday night, July 30th, 7:30, highlight films by position. If there's any specific item that you'd like to have us touch on, this is going to be, by position. We're going to have it with the big uglies. We're going to have it with the skill guys. We're going to have it with the quarterbacks. Really interested to have input from everybody on, what we do there. So listen, Craig, thanks so much. Andrew, obviously off to get his son, but hopefully everybody will join us again Sunday night at 7:30 for highlight films by position here on the Get Signed and Succeed podcast. So for Craig Cox, I'm Bruce Badgley. Hey, see you Sunday night at 7:30. So long.